our rural EB-5 project in Kona, Hawaii. We recently received I-956F project approval. So we'll also share insights from one of the leading immigration attorneys in the EB-5 space, Joey Barnett, and our CEO, Zhan. As a quick reminder, please feel free to drop any questions in the chat box throughout our webinar, and we'll address them during the Q&A. So first, we'll go through a little bit of our project highlights from a recent trip to the investor project site. So some great footage we were able to obtain, and shows our construction started, jobs created, I-956F approval. So the title of this, we're calling it Beyond Paradise 1, the crown jewel of rural EB-5 investment. We believe strongly in this project, and we're confident in the future, but would love to tell you more about that through Ginny and through Joey as well. So our agenda today, we're going to cover first, Joey Barnett with WR Immigration is going to discuss where employment-based immigration stands today, including the source of funds consideration, I-526E approval trends, and potential visa retrogression. Next, Zhan, our founder and CEO of Beyond International, will walk us through how to evaluate EB-5 projects in today's market, the role of the NCE manager, and an overview of Beyond Paradise 1, our rural EB-5 project. We'll then open the floor for questions and discussion. Again, please feel free to submit any of those questions at any time. First, I'd like to introduce Joey Barnett. Our first speaker is a partner at WR Immigration. He's one of the leading attorneys practicing in the space. He has more than a decade of experience focusing on investment immigration and business immigration, representing both investors and project developers. Joey also serves as vice chair of the EB-5 committee for the American Immigration Lawyers Association and has handled hundreds of EB-5 investor petitions. Joey, thank you for joining us tonight. Now that we've walked through the project overview and the current EB-5 landscape, we'll hand the floor over to Joey, who will walk us through the immigration perspective and what investors should understand about today's EB-5 environment. Actually, first I'm going to introduce Ginny. So Zhan is our CEO, founder of Beyond. She leads Beyond's investment management platform and specializes in private credit investments backed by real estate assets. Under her leadership, the firm has grown to manage over $650 million in commercial investments, and she's helped hundreds of investors obtain U.S. green cards through our EB-5 program. Ginny's also recognized EB-5 industry and has received awards from IIUSA, the leading EB-5 industry association. Okay, so on to Joey.
Great. Thank you, Robin. And thank you to Beyond and to Jenny for inviting me to speak today. I've known Jenny for years. We've gone back, I think, 7 or 8 years at this point in EB-5. And we've worked on a number of projects together that have gone successfully for clients. So I was really, really happy and honored when Jenny asked me to speak for this new project that they have with the 956F approval, which, excuse me, is what every investor is looking for right now, particularly one in a rural area. And we're going to be talking more about that later. But it's my privilege to be here. And this first slide, what we're going to be talking about, I think, is really the opportunity that people have right now, in particular, folks who are in the United States, but also those who are out of the United States and stuck in visa backlogs. EB-5 is a very popular avenue for a green card because of some of the other restrictions that are going in some of the other employment-based areas, whereas EB-5 is kind of wide open. And so For example, a number of clients of mine are in the United States. They're on F1 or H1 or L1, but they're stuck in visa backlogs. They're Chinese or Indian nationals. They have EB-2 or 3 priority dates of 2016, 17, 18, or even later. And they're looking at the slow movement of the final action dates, and they're saying, we want to be more proactive. We want to take a more meaningful step towards getting a green card for our family, and they're turning to EB-5. The hard part with EB-5 is affording it. And people who have the money can take advantage of this EB-5 opportunity, and they can go and really find projects where the immigration side of it and the financial side of it, the risks can be very much mitigated by choosing the right project. And so when you put that all together, it's why a lot of people in the United States are turning towards EB-5. Historically, most of EB-5 investors have come from outside of the United States. But over the past couple of years, that has changed. And it's for people who are inside the United States just as much. And they are taking advantage of this concurrent adjustment of status opportunity that just didn't exist before 2022 for EB-5 investors. You also look at the other employment-based categories that are out there, and most of them have backlogs. Even EB-1 has a backlog. Yes, if you have an earlier EB-2 priority date and you get an EB-1 approval, you can port and try to capture your earlier priority date. I get it, but the EB-1 eligibility is harder than ever. And there's a final merits determination, which is subjective, that is very hard to overcome. And if you're applying for EB-1, and you only have 3 of the 8 criteria, that's the minimum. I generally thought those were poor cases. You want at least 5 criteria, because without that, when you get to the final merits determination, it's hard to convince an adjudicator you're at the very top of your field. And so even EB-1, the past couple of years, I think that's become more popular. The scrutiny in those applications has gone up. And we're seeing a lot more denials in the EB-1 space and in the EB-2 NIW space than ever before. I don't know if it's because people were being a little bit more aggressive or maybe not filing well-prepared cases, but we're just seeing in general the denial rates have gone up. And when people are kind of looking at the different options, you can get the interim benefits of an EAD and an advanced parole because you file an adjustment at the same time that you file your EB-5. You don't get that with anything else right now, unless you're marrying a U.S. citizen. And that is a huge benefit, in particular because it gives you a backup option in the event something were to happen with your underlying status. I have clients who have been in H for years, and they've gotten their I-140s approved, and they can get their extensions, but they're also seeing the writing on the wall in the tech industry. They're seeing, possibilities of H1 changes and weighted, different eligibility criteria, and they're worried about their jobs. And the EB-5 gives them the path as a backup plan, because if something were to happen to their H status and they weren't able to find a transfer on day 61, they don't have to leave the country. They're not accruing unlawful presence if they filed EB-5 and adjustment of status. They're in a period of stay authorized by the Attorney General. And so for folks that have kids who are very young, toddlers who are U.S. citizens, this gives them some peace of mind that if something were to happen with their job, they don't have to leave their U.S. citizen children behind. Now, one thing that we talk about a lot in EB-5 is the visa bulletin and retrogression and when you're going to be getting an actual green card. It is a very difficult thing to track because there's a lot of unknowns. I invite people to look at our Chatting with Charlie webinar, which where we go into it for the deep dive. But for the point of this conversation, the way to kind of quote unquote beat the backlog, if you can, which I don't know if you can at this point, but if you can, it's to go with a rural project that has a 956F approval. That's the only way to do it. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck and subject to USCIS processing times. And what USCIS has indicated, and they even clarified it even more so last week, is that rural cases are prioritized. They're not adjudicating I-526s unless the 956F has been approved. And they seem to have different lines for I-526s when you file based on whether or not the 956F has been approved or not. And so here, for anybody who is listening to this webinar, or if we're on WeChat or wherever you are, you file your 526E now in this rural project that already has a 956F approval. That's the fastest way that you're going to get an adjudication on your I-526E. And what are they looking at in your I-526E? Your source of funds. How did you earn the money that you invested into the company? They don't care about your net worth. They don't care about your money that you're not using for EB-5. They care about showing how the specific funds that you're using for this 800K investment was made. That money can come from within the United States. It can come outside the United States. It can come from both. It could be multiple sources. There's a whole host of varieties of sources for EB-5 that work. You have accumulated salary, great. You have RSUs that you want to sell, great. You have equity in your home and you want to get a HELOC, great. You want to get a gift from your friend, that's acceptable. Show me how the friend earned the money. You want to get a credit card advancement, go for it. That's fine. You want to use your brokerage account and get a security back line of credit, go for it. You want to use your 401k and get a loan using that as collateral, go for it. They all work for EB-5. So clients can sort of piece together their source of funds from a bunch of different sources. And that's what you want to work with your immigration attorney on, to make sure that you have the documents to back it up and to be able to tell a credible story that all this money was lawfully obtained. One of the things that is very in vogue right now is actively in the process of investing or partial funding, where you don't necessarily put the full 800K in at the time of the I-526 filing. That is something that is written into the law, that is written into the regulations. It is acceptable, but people have been taking advantage of it and potentially abusing it, and been filing skeleton cases or cases where the commitment of the capital doesn't come in quick enough, and USCIS is pushing back on it. And so I'm advising folks that if you have the money now, to do the full investment now. You don't have to, but you need to talk with your immigration attorney and have a good strategy as to how you're going to show USCIS that you're eligible at the time of filing, even if you're not making the full investment at the time of filing. And so that's something that is becoming more popular. One, because of liquidity. Two, because people want to get their spots in projects. And three, just because they want to potentially make their money more productive, hold it on for longer, and not necessarily use it for EB-5 until they have to, which I understand. But you have to balance that against the immigration risk. So that's what I had. Oh, I just wanted to mention, we are taking questions. So if anybody has questions on this stuff, you guys should put them in the chat or in the Q&A, and we can answer them. Before we move to the next slide.
Here's a quick question for you, Joey, related to what you're talking about now. So we know that we're seeing more I-526E denials than we've seen in the past, and that's kind of what you're mentioning with the source of funds. So what will your firm do? What would you do in that instance if that happens, if you were working with someone who gets a denial?
Well, first I'll say I haven't gotten a denial on a case that I've put together from the beginning this decade, so I don't foresee that happening. If it does happen, we are allowed to file a motion to reopen or a motion to reconsider and provide additional evidence. but really we want to avoid those situations. If they deny your I-526, they can deny your I-485s, even if you have a motion to reopen pending, and it becomes a mess if you're not maintaining your status. But before we challenge a denial in federal court, which we can do and have done, we are now required to exhaust our administrative remedies, which involves an appeal or to the Administrative Appeals Office within USCIS. That's not really where I want to be honest. I want to go to a independent third party, not like a USCIS appellate body, but we can. So there have been speculations that since many applicants were under rural in the past, rural is going to retrogress first. What is my take on that? Okay, so we do believe that because USCIS is adjudicating significantly more rural cases first, we are likely to see more visa use in those categories first. And even if there's twice as many rural numbers as high unemployment area, if they're adjudicating 4 times as many rural cases than high unemployment area, we can still see the rural retrogression first. That being said, because of the way that they process it, it doesn't matter necessarily if a rural 526E has been filed, as opposed to a 956F been filed, as opposed to a 956F been approved, because they're not going to touch any 526E associated with a project that doesn't have a 956F approval. So even if you guys file later, you could still potentially get your visa before somebody in the rural who isn't going with a 956F approved project because of the way that their lines are now structured. And so again, I've been saying this for months. I think people need to expect to have some sort of wait time, and that there is going to be a final action date in place, potentially when the I-526 is approved. But this is the way to do it. If you're going to beat it, you need to do it with a rural 956F. That's really the only strategy based on what I'm seeing in practice. Someone asked a question about, let's say I don't have the full 800K and I do a partial investment and then file the 526. Per law and USCIS guidelines, how much time do we have to do the remaining investment? Well, that's the problem. There is no USCIS guidelines or law, and it's based on adjudication. In the past, I have said 6 to 12 months. Now we're seeing some RFEs that come in as quick as 3 to 4 months saying, hey, you've only put in 200K, where's the other 600K? And if you don't respond to that RFE showing the full 800K investment, they will deny your case. And so I generally say that if you're going to be doing partial investment these days, you really should have the balance in, have some expectation of having the balance in within as quick as 120 days. If you can't do that, you're opening yourself up to a potential risk. There's also so yeah, we could have a whole webinar about actively in the process of investing. It's opaque and it's a gray area, and I think it's better at this moment in time to be conservative than being a little bit riskier on that. Is a preferred source of funds, a particular source of funds preferred versus others? For example, RSU versus HELOC? No, the answer is no. It's not. One's not preferred. In my point of view, what's preferred is which one can we document better. But that being equal, USCIS isn't more likely to approve a case because it came from a RSU versus a HELOC versus a gift from your uncle abroad. It's about documenting how you lawfully obtained the RSU or how you earned to the money for the down payment on the home that you're now using for the HELOC, or how your uncle earned the specific money that he is then gifting to you. It's all about documenting how the money was earned and how it was transferred to you. Now, that being said, I love RSUs. I think it's the cleanest. It's the easiest to document. It's the easiest for USCIS to approve. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I've worked for this company. It's been very successful. Part of my compensation were the RSUs. Here's my account showing that they've accumulated it. Here they are, they've vested. Here they are, they've sold. Now I transferred it to the project. Very easy story to tell. All right.
So another question, and this might relate to both Jenny and Joey, but Joey, since we're talking with you right now. So the question is, I've seen other projects on the market that are not rural. What are good reasons to consider those other than even if rural with I-956F approval is in favor? So what are the good reasons to consider those rural projects like this one? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I have an answer. Jenny, do you want to take it first, though?
Frankly, if you want to get immigration, you guys come here for EB-5, it's always immigration first. And the USCIS already point a priority route, for immigration. So just follow what USCIS said. This is, I don't see any reason, don't go to your, rural and with 956F approval if you have choices. Please.
I would agree with you. If the real goal of this all is to get your green card the fastest, rural is the way to go. There are some people out there who have, for example, an EB-2 priority date of 2023. So their priority date will become current when they're 240 years old, right? And so you're gonna get a green card faster with high unemployment or rural, right? And maybe they're okay with sitting in a longer line with high unemployment area because either way it's faster. I don't know, but all things being equal, including, repayment and job creation and all of that other stuff, it doesn't actually make sense. The high unemployment area at this point, it just doesn't stack up next to rural.
And you kind of answered this earlier a little bit, but so there have been speculations that since many applicants were under rural in the past, the rural is going to retrogress first. What is your take on that? That can be a chat with Charlie, I know, but
based on the data that we have, well, first of all, in theory, yes, that is what's going to happen. The question is when, and that's what we don't have the answer on. Based on the data that we do have, it doesn't seem like they're issuing enough of them in this fiscal year to have a final action date through September. And then when the new fiscal year opens up in October, they'll have a whole host of new visas. So it really depends on how many visa numbers they issue and how many 526s they approved. I just don't have the data. I will say I did a FOIA at the end of last month, Jenny, or at the end of January about USCIS receipts and approvals through the end of January, and we're suing them tomorrow on it because they haven't given us the data. So hopefully we'll have a little bit more visibility into what we're seeing and the line that exists before people who are filing today. Oh, there's a great question here that I get every day, multiple times. So if retrogression happens, the EAD card is not possible until it clears, right? No, that's incorrect. And that is such a common misconception. So when you file your adjustment of status, because it is current in the visa bulletin at the same time that you file for your EB-5, you are also eligible to file for an EAD and for an advanced parole. Those are interim benefits that you get while the adjustment is pending. Those come in no matter what project you go with, no matter what happens with retrogression after you file, because you have a pending adjustment of status. And so if you file tomorrow and then retrogression happens April 1st, USCIS will still be required to adjudicate your EAD, will still be required to adjudicate your advanced parole, and you can indefinitely extend those until your priority date becomes current in the future. Yeah, that's a good question. I get asked that all the time.
That was a great question. So I think we've made it through the questions for Joey at this point. I'm sure there'll be more as we go, but at this time, we'd like to thank Joey for his valuable insights on the immigration landscape. And now that we've covered the broader EB-5 environment, the next step is understanding how to evaluate projects and structure investments in today's market. So to walk us through that perspective, I'm pleased to introduce Jenny Zhan, the founder and CEO of Beyond International. Jenny will walk us through how to evaluate a rural EB-5 project in today's market, the importance of the NCE manager's role, and an overview of Beyond Paradise One, our project in Kona, Hawaii. Jenny, thank you for joining us, and I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Robin. Let's go to next page. And I actually reviewed, I actually joined a lot of EB-5 discussion groups on WeChat and also on WhatsApp. And there are some very interesting notice I find. And that's why, because I have deal with, our team and I deal with EB-5 for since 2013. I have seen so many projects. Personally, I helped 1,200 people, not only receiving green card, and also they are actually, their projects actually is in shape, and they eventually, in the process, get the money back. So therefore, I had too much experience with real estate and also with the EB-5. And I have to say, EB-5 is one of the aspects of real estate investment. EB-5 is an important source of real estate investment, but very unfortunately, after so much real estate fundraising investment, I have to say, from a real estate investment perspective, especially from a JCE developer perspective, EB-5 capital is not a preferred capital source, especially for, very experienced, very well-equipped developers. Why? Because EB-5 is regarded as highly regulated and constrained. So it is related to immigration. The major developers usually have tried, but think it's too much trouble for them. And also, the EB-5 capital lack of continuity and predictability. This is also true because thinking about if you're raising the EB-5 money, you are developing a project that requires $200 million, and EB-5 money comes in one by one, and the EB-5 rule changes all the time. So sometimes rural in favor, and it used to be a lot of developers develop in the cities. So their project, because of rural project change, so it is very unpredictable. So if the projects only rely on EB-5 money and the continuity, predictability becomes an issue, it's really hurting EB-5 projects. So therefore, if any sponsor comes to you, only can raising EB-5 money, it will be very challenging. Now, in order to get a good project, and usually it requires you have the ability not only raise EB-5 money, but also you can raising other alternative capital as well. Now, EB-5 capital also means you have to deal with individual directly, and an individual have a lot of issue. Some of the ones want to do installment, put $300,000 come in, and $800,000 ready. From individual perspective, immigration perspective, and we probably have shared a different view, shared a different priority, but project perspective, it wants to be, and the money can be arrived directly, and they want the money have to come in on time, on schedule. That requires a lot of capability for alternative capitals. Now that makes anyone in charge of raising capital, manage capitals, have to have extra skills. Now, EB-5 attractive. There's the only reason for EB-5 is attractive is to high quality EB-5. If you EB-5 money have to attract high quality project owners, EB-5 capital has to be cheaper, and the NCE manager can provide the alternative capital sources other than just EB-5. And I have to say this is a strength for Beyond. And Beyond, as well as our team, was first one on the market, and even started 7-8 years ago. I was just met Julie. We were the one innovatively created bridge loans, introduced bridge loans to EB-5 industry, which allow us to save a lot of projects, and also help us can secure and have the reputation to secure high project and high quality projects. And to a lot of desperate project owner, and EB-5 is the last source of capital because they can't raise money. Therefore, in the EB-5 projects, if someone just try to attract you for high return capital, most likely this is a trap instead of a real high return. And the bottom line, if you want to looking for a good EB-5 project, you have to choose a high quality NCE managers, and don't fall into the desperation traps. And I also sometimes I think Robin probably face a lot of challenges. Some people ask you what kind of return I can get, from EB-5 project, and frankly, your focus shouldn't based on returns. You should focus on whether it can give you the good project, can support you get green card quickly, and also is that the project can help you can become have a lot of risk aversion protections to you, and help you receive your principal back safely and also quickly. I want to emphasize on that. A lot of people probably studied the sustainment of EB-5 period. Very few projects in this market I can challenge, and allows you, after you fulfill your immigration sustainable period, and you can raise your hand, ask for money back. And this is the project among the very few projects. Actually, we provide 180 days. If any reason you don't want to do EB-5 or you fulfill sustainable period, you want to take your money back, we can do so. And this is our differentiation. This is because we understand EB-5, we see so many projects before, and we did so many projects before, and we were thinking about for our EB-5 investors. Go to next page. And we are not just an NCE manager, EB-5 NCE manager. We are real estate investors, and real estate investment company. We have dealt with over 650 million real estate investment before. And we realize when I look at through a lot of posts, social media posts, I find a lot of people don't understand what is real estate risk. I think if you can Google and using AI to ask the questions like commercial real estate risk by types, and I bet you a lot of AI will give you the similar answer like I did show you today. And it is true for real estate development, real estate type. Actually, composed about more than 50% of risk. Some of the real estate property type actually naturally have more risk over others, riskier than others. For example, the highest risk items is so-called speculative development. Those commercial real estate doesn't have any pre-leasing, and it considered, for example, like the real estate built for museum, built for the like a golf course, naturally, or snow skiing sites, and you can't do any pre-leasing. And this is what we call speculative development, actually naturally pose risk over others. And in that category, hotel and hospitality is in the similar category. Why? The success of a hotel is really rely on how you operate it. And you don't know at the time you build it. Until you start to operate, you will know actually how it will go. And it basically is a lot of unpredictability on exit strategies. And the bank, when we evaluate exit strategy, or anyone execute how to sell this hotel or provide refinancing, there's no way they can give you any kind of clear guidance until it operates for 2 to 3 years. Just like I mentioned, the quicker you can exit actually is another way of provide your savings and provide your safety. So therefore, hotel is definitely a difficult category. And in the consider as moderate risk category, retail development, office development, industrial warehouses. If those development already have substantial amount of pre-leasing, although they already have pre-leasing, they still belong to the medium risk category, because economic environment could change and business environment could change, and all these type of things can change the usage and the business thesis of all these properties. Now, the lower risk have to go to the residentials, multifamily developments, and for sale housings. Usually it's much easier to get a loan from the bank. The reason for that is those are considered as a lower risk in real estate development category. No matter what happened, people need to live. And the worst of all, you just sell cheap, especially for sale housing. You sell cheap, and if you are in the senior position, stay in the senior position, you can get some money back, at least get some money back for sale housings. And therefore, when we are served as NCE manager, Robin, please go to next one. What we do, we intentionally looking for sale properties or apartments, residentials, and we focus on that category in order to mitigate the risk to our investors. And another AI-derived real estate developer risk spectrum also tells the aspects. And for regular speculative land development, speculative of hospitality, in the regular development, in very commercial-driven development, it usually targeted RR, targeted return, it should be over 18%. So I don't see any EB-5 project promise you to get 18% type of return. The reason for that, for such kind of command high return in the regular commercial world, is also because of their risk. Let's go down. And the another development challenges people need to avoid is development have different stage. The earlier you go, the risk you are in. And the highest risk for real estate development is called a regulatory risk. And in the project selections, you have to totally avoid this type of risk and pick projects fully entitled and under construction can help you jump through major regulation risks because any projects can do construction, can start it, especially the project already passed 956F, and if it will present USCIS, the opening, it is all the permits allow it to be under construction. Now that this is something is have to be very, very careful. Never do any project it is not under construction. And the other risk we commonly see that is projects requires, of course, a lot of development is under construction, and the construction itself is risk. And for any responsible and capable NCE manager will always ask project have completion guarantee and maximum cost guarantee. This is very common for construction projects, very common for real estate investment manager to ask for this. And check if your project actually has that. Let's go to next. I'm sorry, Robin, let's go back a little bit.
Oh.
Let's just go back to the last page. I need to talk about two relative lower risk. And I'm sorry, the next one.
The next
one after this one.
This
yeah.
one. Okay.
Financial risk. Robert, you jumped a little bit quick. Just the one page.
I know. I decided to be a little ahead and not have you.
The other thing is
ask.
financial risk. Basically, whether you have enough funding. This is very important for EB-5. In EB-5, you ask the NCE manager if you can't raise the fund, if anything EB-5 has changed, how you deal with enough funding to help finish the project and help finish the construction. And so your ability, the NCE manager's ability to raise non-EB-5 funding becomes very critical under this, to mitigate this risk. Another risk, of course, I will feel it's a much lower level, because when you face this risk, that means you probably already get green card. The project is finished. That's called market risks. And the market risk for sale housing, it's very easy to compare because you look at the local Zillow data, look at the local like Redfin data, what kind of housing prices is selling, and is that reasonable to sell such type of housing and at this type of price. And if your position is in the senior position, and for the for sale housing, the worst of all, you probably may drop the price a little bit, and the developer doesn't have a profit or to have a lower profit, but you will still get your money back. So the loan to value and the loan to the cost is very important here. Our loan to value and the loan to cost is at 15%. That means you have to dramatically drop the price. We were facing a disaster, even in the 2007, 2008, when we faced the financial crisis, and the housing price has never dropped to 80% of level. In order for you to lose money, the price have to drop to 85%. This is almost impossible to happen. Let's go to next. Okay, now for the NCE manager, and that's why before people was coming to this webinar, Joey and I had a discussion. Actually, regional center is, a lot of people heard about regional center. Regional center actually is mostly misunderstood concept in our industry. And Joey has to agree with me because of the early stage history, regional center was set to allowed to count indirect jobs. So it exists right now until today. Although some of the regional center and NCE manager may have overlap with rural project, very few regional centers and NCE managers actually has overlap. The reason for that is rural projects, good rural project is so rare to find. And some of the regional centers, so-called regional center network alliance, they rent regional centers. Some of the NC managers, although they have regional center in other places, they go to the new places, they have to also rent a regional center. So who is the key? In regional manager, regional centers, what their main job is count indirect jobs, make sure the USCIS complies. But it is the NCE managers have to monitor the investment day in and day out, and make sure the project can progress, meet the budget, meet the guidance. If something goes wrong, an experienced NCE manager, with very strong property, background, very strong real estate background, knows how to jump on, reorganize the team, and find more capitals come in to allow the project to finish. So NCE manager, they have to prepare every day and has the capability to jump on and finish the project and make sure your money can get the money back. So that position is so important. What consists a good NCE manager? It should, first of all, has a desire to return your money back. EB-5, I have to say, is a one-time, one-shot business. For most of people, EB-5, they will not come back. Okay, for a lot of regional centers, their clients will not come back and to do the EB-5 again. And for only a few of our NCE managers today on the market has a really desire, have a recurring to keep their investor happy. I have to say Beyond is among one of them. And the reason for that, why? We are investment manager. We want you to get the money back and reinvest with us for other real estate projects, so you can receive 18%, 15% IRR returns. And this is the time you can ask what kind of return you can get. Really not the time you ask for EB-5. So the quicker you get money back, our other kind of business will receive more capital. Could help you to invest and make your money and to generate more monies. And the NC manager got to have the ability to manage development projects during each project phases. In Beyond's life, we saved a lot of projects. We jump on and become sponsor and help the project being finished and get our clients' money back. We have a proven track record in raising non-EB-5 capital. As a matter of fact, we were the one invented the bridge loan concept, introduced the bridge loan concept to the EB-5 projects. Let's move on. So of course, JCE manager developers is also very important. But very important, we have to see JCE manager, their number one goal is developers, their number one goal is provide a return to their shareholder. EB-5 capital, a lot of them is in the debt format, you are in the safety format, but it is not their interest to make sure your money has you meet your EB-5 goals. You can make sure your money will come back on time and come up quickly. So it's up to the NCE manager to deal with JCE manager day in and day out and to make sure they are on schedule, can deliver. So, and JCE, of course, we needed to pick JCE manager has a strong track record developing similar projects and in a similar region. And also for Beyond, for us, because our naturally built interest to the investors and we are looking for the JCE managers is willing to accept completion guarantee and a maximum cost guarantee. I know it's hard to get, and it is our it is our responsibility and our capability could ask those developers to provide those guarantees. Now, also I have to talk about the different capital stack here, and a lot of people, are busy check track record for regional center and NEC manager. Really forgot each projects are different and their types are different. Your capital stack are very, very different, and for safety purpose, the best investment is senior loan. This is especially true, for rural project. Usually city project, developers can easily get funding, bank funding, and all these funding. They usually go to senior position. For rural project, our opportunity opened for senior loans, and for what means senior loans, when any money comes in, return comes in, it should satisfy the senior position. That's the money last in and first out. So first senior loan, although it doesn't have a good high return, it is make sure you get first batch of money comes in. Robin, let's go to next page. Therefore, it is the safest money in any real estate development. Let's go to previous one. Robin, you just passed. Oh yeah, this is the NCE manager position. Now, beyond NCE management company, we actually have managed about 650 million in professional commercial real estate investment under our management. We have supported over 1,200 families through immigration programs since 2014. For this specific project, we have committed over $20 million bridge loan, standby whenever, lack of continuity in EB-5 flow, our money can come in and make sure the project will be underway and will finish on time and on schedule. And also at the same time, we created a job advance over the EB-5 money. Yeah, let's go to next one. So therefore, our project right now already created over 100 jobs. And in order for us, we actually added extra capital protection for EB-5 investors. You probably could see in a lot of projects, it's very common to tell you if I-5 to 6E deny, they will refund in 6 months. We actually shortened that to 3 months. The unique part of our project, if you do any immigration withdrawal, or you feel your immigration has been past the sustainable period, you can ask us to withdraw your capital. We will refund all those capital within 6 months. This is very unique, and compared to a lot of projects, this shows our commitment to not just for the project, our commitment also in line, our interest is also in line with EB-5 investors. The tricky how to do that is also we do have extra capitals available, can always replace the EB-5 capital. This is unique, this is our differentiation. Let's go to next one. Now, people talking about where's your project located. This is the project I waited for 9 months. Joey probably know that every time I go to EB-5 conference, always chased by the project developers, and they want us to take a look at a project and want to take on the project. We are very selective in picking projects. And this is a project I waited for 9 months and have a tough negotiation. The reason for why? Because the location is so special. you guys have already heard about what's important for real estate: location, 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 right? And for rural project, this is very rare. This is located in Kona and Big Island, Hawaii. If the world's most renowned, uh, resort area in the United States, travel area in the United States, no area can beat Hawaii. And for this project is townhomes projects for sale houses. Like I mentioned before, for sale is the best, lowest risk in real estate category. And the developer has 70 years history and has developed billions projects before, especially in the Hawaii area. And they are so well known and so well funded. So I have to show them we can provide the continuity of capital, and in order for the project to finish, in order to get this project, I have to prove myself multiple times, and in order to negotiate for completion guarantees. And this project is also competitively priced in a luxury resort zone townhome area. This resort area is only located half an hour from international airport. How popular the resort is, you can just check how close it is to an international airport. Okay, and the project itself, in the first phase of this project, we only have 30 EB-5 slots. 15 of them already been committed or even funded, and most of them already been funded. So only 15 slots is available. And that position is in a senior collateralized first priority position, like I mentioned. There's no chance you will lose all the money for this project. And because it's in the senior position and the loan to cost is only 15%, how you can lose money in that kind of situation? Let's go to the next one. And this is a townhome project, 120 townhome project. It's much easier to build a townhome and then build a large high-rise project. And even low-rise 8-story buildings will be more difficult than the building a townhome project. And a townhome usually build 5 to 6 altogether, and you can sell it immediately after those are built. So let's go to next one. And like I mentioned, the project is senior first lien and collateralized position. This is an oceanfront resort, but sold individually with a prime location. And the townhome is well priced in around like $1.5 million to $2 million range, $1.2 million to $1.7 million for the first phases, and price is likely to increase. And even before we started the pre-sale, there are a lot of interest actually already started pushing the price to go high. And this is a high demand market, and we have ample job creations. We also could show our investors we received multiple guarantees on this project. And it is from experienced regional center and developers. For the regional center itself, we have returned about $190 million in EB-5 projects. Let's go to the next one. And the capital stack, you can see EB-5 capital not only stays about less than 15%, 13.7%, and it is also in a senior position. Let's go to next one. This is what I'm talking about. We do have the senior lien collateral position. We have not only pledged senior position, and also we have filed a USCIS statement to make sure no one can be in front of us. And we also have the very clear ownership certificate. at the right side. This is, by the way, this is open. Anyone could ask. We can show you the copy of all these documents. Let's go to next one. In addition to that, we ask the developer to provide a completion guarantee and a maximum cost guarantee. And for this, I negotiated about 6 months just for those two guarantees. Let's go to next. And the developer is in this area, in this corner area, there was only 3 resorts were approved in last 45 years. And our current one is building is the number 3. The last 2 in this, the last 2 resort was, was also built by the same developers. We are actually currently work with us, the Water Capital Group. And all these 2 resorts are well received, and their price, at least some of the price, at least tripled or quadrupled since it was built. These are the pictures, latest pictures we received during our last tour to the Kona website, to the Kona site. Let's go to the next one. And now the construction is underway, and the pre-sale will start in middle of 2026. And since we're in California, and Hawaii is the #1 interest for a lot of Hawaii residents, or West Coast residents, and including people in Canada and in Washington State's area, Hawaii is our #1 resort area. We already see the interest from our investment clients on this project. We also, actually secured some first 17 houses for under the request of our investors. Please go to next one. I think I can open the chat room. If anyone has questions, feel free to ask here. I already see questions.
Thank you so much, Jenny. I know we all need a little water after talking for a while, but
a little bit of
but thank you everyone again for joining us this evening. And if you have any remaining questions, please do put that in the chat box. We hope this session has been helpful in providing insight into the current EB-5 immigration landscape and our Kona Hawaii project as well. So again, we're opening the floor up for questions, but in the meantime, we're going to post 3 real quick questions, a poll. If you wouldn't mind answering those, it would be very helpful.
Sure.
Our group. Oh, we do have a question like time. So what is the loan term for the Hawaii project? Jenny, if you want to answer that.
Yeah, the long term, basically when you talk long term, you actually have 2 loans. One, the NCE. NCE should have a loan with the developer, with the JCE. That was with the project. So that long term is 3 + 1 + 1. And for our investors, and we do have a similar kind of long terms, but we have a withdrawal clause. The reason we can do a withdrawal clause is because we can provide an alternative capital and still fulfill with JCE's agreement, at the same time provide flexibility for our investors.
Thank you. Okay, so everyone will be receiving an email from our team tomorrow following recording of the webinar and a link to excellent marketing and project materials. So before we finish, we would also like to invite you to join our growing LinkedIn group. We've just created EB-5 investor community, immigration and investment where we're going to share market updates, immigration insights, and discussions around EB-5 due diligence. So hopefully Joey will join.
Yeah,
course.
anyone have question on EB-5 or want to discuss what's the good real estate investment project? I would be very happy to join it, to come into the group. I would be very happy to answer those questions personally. And I have to say, probably in the real estate, in the EB-5 industry, we are the real estate geeks, you know, and we are very happy to share our experience. And now, any questions, Robin? You have 3 existing questions.
So looks like we've got someone that says, I've been trying and not much luck. Well, that is unfortunate.
I don't think you try, if you just try to attach regional centers, actually bark on the wrong tree, because regional centers, like I mentioned before, what's their job is make sure it's comply with USCIS and make sure its indirect job is created. And if you want to talk to them, I can call them and get it together. And the key, who manage your capital, doing the day-to-day jobs, and make sure jobs are created, especially after I-956F stage, your burden, your money back, your job created, and this burden goes to one person, one group of manager. That's the NCA manager. This is me in front of you. I could share you with a lot of experience, how to make sure it happened, why those mistakes were made before, you know, not from us, from what we saw on the market.
And we'll definitely get in touch with you and make sure that that we are, you know, able to answer any questions you might have and able to facilitate answers from the regional center as well. So, so it looks like there's a question. Are there any opportunities to get equity in the real estate investment instead of money back as an alternative option?
Well, if you don't want to, you know, first of all, you want to go to real estate investment equity, there are plenty of choices in the market. A lot of great projects don't have the restriction of EB-5 and can generate a return. And I can share with you our experience. Some of our projects, our return was 70% in 2 years, but definitely can't be EB-5 project. It's too risky. I won't suggest you to go that. And, you know, that therefore, you know, get money back. I would be, you know, that would be number 1 goal for EB-5 investor, because your capital is inferior. It's under so much restrictions, and no reasonable, you know, developers will give you high return, and a good developers, what they will prefer to do is, because they utilize at one period relatively cheap capital to help them build the project done. So it's unreasonable to thinking about EB-5 equity have big returns. And if you want to have the money come in and always invest there, I do think some of the investors are actually very smart and ask me one question. If the EB-5, they want to put the money in EB-5 project after sustainable period, can you adjust and turn those money into equity, stay in the project? I said, welcome. You know, let me know when you achieve your EB-5 goal, because we provide an option. You can withdraw from EB-5 project, and there are so many choices. At that time, I can find a much better return for you.
Okay. Another question, how much time to get partial investment options? How much time is required for partial investments?
I don't know if I really understand the question. I mean,
so probably for Jenny, I think for anybody who's investing, who's doing a partial investment option, how much time do they have to get their full investment in?
First of all, like Joey said, this is the USCIS picking period. Ideally, you get all the money in. If you can't, I understand people have different choices, different return choices. If you, let's say you have a CD, pays 5%, EB-5, probably only 1% or even lower kind of return, very low returns, and you want to stay your CD longer. First of all, make sure, find attorneys, experts like Julie, and make sure all the documents will explain that, make it ready, all the source of fund has been explained. Okay, and when USCIS adjudications find you, they send IV to you and make sure whatever happened, send the money as soon as possible. So this probably, like Julie mentioned, you have to make sure within 120 days the money have to be there, or whenever USCIS called you, you have to put the money in.
Okay. Do you accept self-directed IRA? That might be a Joey.
We accept all the legal money.
Yes.
Self-directed IRA is a legal money.
Yep, USCIS is approving that.
Yeah.
Okay, a few more questions. We're getting questions from different avenues here, so. Are there any hidden or admin fees for EB-5 investors other than the $800,000 required investment for rural projects? If yes, how much is that for the Hawaii project?
For the people come from internet, directly come to us, we actually don't charge administration fees. There are certain processing filing fees. Of course, you need to pay attorney fee. You need to pay USCIS fees. You need to pay some fees like to prove third party have to give you a certificate to prove you are accredited investors. Although we can give some specials for the people can come to, sign with us, go through accredited investment check before March 15, we can pay for you. But this is the money suppose you have to pay. And also some documents is in foreign language, you have to find that translate for you to those third-party fees.
Okay, looks like we've got one more question. I know you mentioned, Jenny, we've had 15 people confirm. The question is, how many of the EB-5 investors have submitted their application and have any of them received combo cards?
We have people receive combo cards from the early stage. And we do have 12 people, 15 people committed, 12 people, and is submitting, submitting application or already submitted application. Most of them already submitted the application. So their spot actually is secured.
Perfect. So do we have any final closing thoughts from each of you? Joey first.
My closing thought would be, now is the time to do this. You should be trying to take advantage of the opportunity now, while there are spots open for the project with 956F approval. I'm happy to help, and we can get your source of funds and adjustment of status and everything ready, but you really have to start making moves if this is something that you want to do. Now is the time.
Thank you. Jenny?
Yeah, the following remarks, like Julie said, it's the time to do EB-5. And I know most EB-5, a lot of EB-5 applicants are very successful, smart people. And you are the experts in your area. In terms of EB-5, in terms of, real estate, there are, we can't just shift based on our common knowledge. Some of the time we can check with AI. Some of the time I will be very happy to discuss with you directly. And, if only one advice, I can give it to you because, in terms of EB-5 project, because that NCE manager is so important. First thing you look at the, if you look at the, your PPM, find who is your NCE manager. if you have chance, probably talk to him or her directly, and ask questions and check. If there's one tough question you can raise to them. The tough question is, what if the project failed? How you, as an NCE manager, to save it? Did you have the experience to save it before? This is
Thank
the
you.
tip I'm willing to share with people, no matter you select our project or not.
Great advice. We appreciate that. Well, thank you both for your time, and thank you everyone for taking time out of your evening to join us. We look forward to continuing the conversations, and we will definitely be reaching out to those who mentioned they would like to talk with us. So feel free to contact us. And again, you'll be receiving an email with the recording and some marketing materials tomorrow. So thanks
Thank
again. We
you.
hope you have a great evening.
Yeah, thank you.